Welcome back to Valuable Rare Coins. If you enjoy hidden treasures, you're in the right spot. First, we're revealing coins that could be worth way more than you think. New here? Like, subscribe, and let's dive in. We're talking about a coin that most people wouldn't look twice at, but for a few lucky collectors, it's become the ultimate prize. Let's take a close look at the 1944 D. Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that may seem humble on the surface, but has captured the imagination of collectors all over the world. Because this particular penny, when found in a rare version, has been known to command a staggering amount, something you'll definitely want to stick around for. Let's begin with a little history. The year was 1944. World War II was raging across Europe and the Pacific. American soldiers were overseas fighting for freedom, while back home, factories were working overtime to support the war effort. Every ounce of material, steel, copper, nickel, was valuable, and the U.S. Mint had to make major adjustments to keep coins in circulation. Just a year earlier, in 1943, the U.S. had made a radical change. In an effort to conserve copper for ammunition and wiring, the Mint produced pennies using zinc-coated steel. These shiny silver-colored coins looked completely different from the traditional copper pennies. But they rusted easily, were often mistaken for dimes, and were unpopular with the public. In 1944, the Mint reversed course and went back to making pennies from copper. But not just any copper. These 1944 coins were made using recycled ammunition shell casings from the war. That means every 1944 penny carries a story not only of currency, but of combat, of sacrifice, and of history. These coins were born out of a nation at war, melting down bullets to make money. If that's not symbolic, I don't know what is. Now let's get specific. The 1944 D. Lincoln Wheat penny was minted in Denver, and you'll know it by the small D mint mark just beneath the date. Denver struck over 430 million of these pennies that year. So, yes, they're common in general. You might even find one in an old collection or coin jar. But, and this is important, not all 1944 D pennies are created equal. You see, during this time, there were a few extremely rare errors that slipped through the cracks. These errors didn't look like much to the average person. But to a trained eye, they were golden opportunities. One of the rarest mistakes was the accidental use of leftover steel planchets, the metal blanks used for 1943 steel pennies. While 1944 pennies were supposed to be copper, a few were struck on steel planchets that hadn't been removed from the minting machines. This means that some 1944 D pennies were created using the wrong metal, making them exceptionally rare. Imagine this: a 1944 penny that looks like the standard copper version, but under close inspection, it turns out to be made of steel. It's magnetic. It's silvery gray. And it's one of the most elusive and sought-after coins in American history. Only a handful of these steel 1944 D pennies are known to exist. And finding one is like striking gold. Now add another layer to this: condition. Coins that have been in circulation tend to show signs of wear, scratches, nicks, faded details. But a 1944 D steel penny found in mint state condition, with full luster, sharp details, and no damage, immediately becomes a superstar in the eyes of collectors. We're talking about a coin that blends historical significance, rarity, minting error, and perfect condition, a true four-part formula for a numismatic legend. If you've got a 1944 D penny lying around, here's what you should do. First, check the color. If it's the usual reddish-brown or coppery tone, it's probably the standard version. Still cool, still collectible, but not rare. But if it looks silvery gray, try this: hold a magnet near it. If it sticks to the magnet, you might just be holding something extraordinary. Next, look at the condition. Does it have clear detail in Lincoln's hair and beard? Can you see the wheat stalks on the back crisply? Does it still shine like new? If so, it could be worth a professional evaluation. And that brings us to the question everyone wants answered: what's it worth? If you're lucky enough to find a 1944 D. Lincoln Wheat penny that was mistakenly struck on a steel planchet, And it's in mint state, uncirculated condition. Its value could reach a mind-blowing $305,000. Yes, you heard that right, $305,000. For a penny, it's the kind of story that makes you rethink everything you know about loose change. It's not just about copper or steel. It's about history. It's about mistakes that turned into miracles. And it's about the thrill of discovery, because you never know when a tiny coin could carry a six-figure surprise. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Feel its weight. Look for that small D under the date. And if you're really lucky, you might be holding a piece of American history worth more than most people will ever expect. Second rare coin, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that millions of people carried in their pockets, used in grocery stores, and dropped into piggy banks without ever knowing it might someday become a rare and valuable collector's item. At first glance, the 1945 penny might look like just another piece of old change. But behind this coin lies a story filled with history, symbolism, and unexpected twists that make it one of the most talked about pennies among coin collectors. Let's rewind to the year 1945. The world was standing at the edge of transformation. World War II was finally drawing to a close. After years of global conflict, sacrifice, and loss, peace was on the horizon. America had emerged from the war as a powerful, unified nation, and every part of life, from politics to pop culture to the very coins in your hand, reflected that shift. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is a piece of that history. It wasn't just a coin, it was a symbol of a country rebuilding and redefining itself. Now let's look at the coin itself. On the obverse side, we see the legendary image of President Abraham Lincoln, created by artist Victor David Brenner. It's been featured on the penny since 1909, and for good reason. Lincoln represents unity, resilience, and leadership, qualities the nation leaned on heavily in 1945. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the classic wheat ears reverse design. Two stylized stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. It's simple, it's elegant, and it speaks to the agricultural roots and enduring strength of the American spirit. Below the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, we're reminded of the very essence of what the country stood for in that moment of history. But here's what makes the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny so much more than just a historic token. During the war years, the U.S. Mint had to get creative with its materials. In 1943, pennies were made from zinc-coated steel to save copper for ammunition. But by 1944 and 1945, copper was back in use, mostly sourced from recycled shell casings used in the war. That's right, your 1945 penny may have once been part of a bullet that served in the battlefield. That makes this coin more than money. It's a relic of sacrifice and survival. Now here's where things get even more interesting. While the majority of 1945 pennies were made from copper and are relatively common, a very small number of error coins slipped through the minting process. And that's exactly where collectors strike gold. These rare variations can include everything from double dies, where parts of the design appear to be slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during striking, to off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even coins minted on the wrong planchets, blanks meant for other coins. Imagine finding a 1945 penny that was accidentally struck on a silver dime planchet, or one where Lincoln's features appear doubled, as if he's casting a shadow. These tiny details, often invisible to the average person, send collectors into a frenzy. But rarity alone isn't enough. To truly make a penny valuable, it must also be in mint state condition. That means it hasn't been circulated. No scratches, no discoloration, sharp lines, full detail, and original shine. These coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with the highest grade coins, MS 67 or MS 68, fetching the biggest prices. If you've got a 1945 penny tucked away in an old coin folder, a family heirloom, or even in a forgotten drawer, it might be time to take a closer look. Check for a few things. Does the coin still shine with that original copper glow? Are there any strange markings, doubling in the letters, or off-center designs? And most importantly, does it look like it's barely been touched? Because now comes the moment you've all been waiting for, the value revealed. A 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny, if it features a rare mint error and is found in mint state, uncirculated condition, has been known to sell for an astonishing $280,000. Yes, you heard that right, $280,000 for a 1-cent coin. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. The combination of history, rarity, condition, and collector demand can turn the smallest coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. So don't overlook those old pennies. They're not just spare change. They're time capsules, snapshots of a moment when the world changed forever. And one of them, hidden in a dusty box or an old piggy bank, might just change your life. Third expensive coin, we're talking about the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny, a simple, copper-colored coin that, under the right conditions, has stunned collectors with its value. And by the end of this video, we're going to reveal just how much one rare version of this penny has sold for, an amount that could quite literally change your life. But first, let's rewind the clock to the year 1949. It was a period of transition for America. World War II had ended just a few years earlier. Soldiers were returning home. Suburbs were starting to grow. The baby boom was in full swing. And the country was moving into an age of post-war innovation and prosperity. Amid all these changes, the U.S. Mint continued to quietly produce coins that millions of Americans would use daily, and most would never give a second thought. That includes the 1949 wheat penny. Produced primarily in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, this coin carried the same familiar design Americans had seen for decades: President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse side. It was small, practical, and full of symbolism. Let's take a moment to appreciate its design. On the obverse side, Lincoln's profile stares confidently to the right. This image, designed by Victor David Brenner, has been on the penny since 1909, marking the first time a real person ever appeared on a regular U.S. coin. Lincoln's image wasn't just about honoring a president. It was about reflecting strength, unity, and freedom, especially during America's years of turmoil and rebirth. Turn the coin over and you're met with the iconic wheat reverse. 2 graceful stalks arching around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This simple design speaks volumes about America's roots in hard work, growth, and unity. Now, here's where the ordinary starts to become extraordinary. You see, although millions of these coins were minted in 1949, not all of them are the same. There are tiny variations, subtle errors, unexpected metal compositions, and rare minting anomalies that make certain 1949 wheat pennies incredibly valuable. And the moment you know what to look for, a common coin can become a life-changing discovery. Let's talk about those errors. One of the most sought-after mistakes is called a double die. This is when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned just enough to create a double image, usually seen in the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's profile. These coins often go unnoticed by the untrained eye, but to a collector, they're gold. Another type of valuable error is the off-center strike, where the coin design is misaligned and appears pushed to one side. There are also repunched mint marks, where the little letter under the date, indicating where the coin was made, was stamped more than once, creating a shadow or layered effect. These errors were not intentional, but they're now incredibly desirable. And then, there are the rarest of the rare, coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank metal disc intended for a different coin entirely. Imagine a penny struck on a dime blank. The coin might be smaller, lighter, or silver in color instead of copper. These rare oddities are highly prized, but what really sends a coin's value through the roof is condition. The majority of 1949 pennies are well worn. After all, they've been circulating for decades, used to buy candy, newspapers, or lunch back in the day. Most are scratched, dull, and faded. But a very small number were never circulated. These are what we call mint state coins, with their original shine, crisp detail, and no wear. When a rare 1949 penny, especially one with a minting error, is found in mint condition, that's when the value skyrockets. So, what should you look for? First, check the color and luster. A shiny reddish-brown surface is a good sign. Next, look for any oddities in the date, lettering, or mint mark. Is there doubling? Does the coin feel unusually light or heavy? Is the design off-center? And most importantly, has it been preserved well over the years? Because now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to be lucky enough to own a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny that features a rare mint error, such as a double die or wrong planchet, and it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, its value could soar to an incredible $240,000. Yes, $240,000. That's the kind of jaw-dropping discovery that makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just about the metal. It's about the moment in history, the rarity of the strike, and the treasure that might be sitting in your pocket, completely unnoticed. So the next time you come across an old wheat penny, especially one with the date 1949, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look. Because something that once bought a stick of gum might just buy you a house today. Especially for those who know what to look for. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny is so much more than just a penny. It's a symbol of history, a rare find, and, for one lucky collector, potentially worth an astronomical amount of money. This isn't your average penny. There's something special about the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny that makes it one of the most intriguing coins in the history of American currency. If you're new to coin collecting or just looking to learn more about this fascinating world, you're in the right place. The story of this coin starts in the mid-20th century, a time of post-war optimism and change. 1950 was a year filled with progress as America emerged from the devastation of World War II and entered a period of economic growth. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny, minted in Denver, became part of this new, hopeful era, circulating in millions of pockets, trading hands in shops and markets, and slowly fading into the background as an everyday coin. Little did anyone know that it would one day become a sought-after treasure. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design of the coin itself. On the obverse side, we see the famous profile of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this image has been featured on the penny since 1909 and is widely regarded as one of the most iconic portraits of any American president. Lincoln's likeness represents more than just a president. It's a tribute to unity, freedom, and the resilience of the American spirit. On the reverse side, we see the traditional wheat stalks, 2 ears of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design is a direct reference to America's agricultural roots, reflecting the strength of the country's farming heritage. And right beneath the wheat, you'll notice the phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a reminder of the unity that holds America together. However, it's not the design itself that makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny so valuable. What truly elevates the value of this coin are the rarities and errors that can sometimes be found among them. For most people, a 1950 penny would seem like just another coin in circulation. But to seasoned collectors, there's an extra layer of intrigue. Over the years, coins from certain years and mints have become famous for subtle flaws or unique characteristics that were overlooked when the coins were first produced. These flaws, or minting errors, are what set some coins apart from the thousands of others that were produced during the same year. For the 1950 penny, the real treasure lies in the mintage errors and the condition of the coin. It's known that some 1950 pennies were struck with a double die, a minting error where parts of the design appear more than once, giving the coin a doubled appearance. This can be seen in the date, the lettering, or even Lincoln's profile. A double strike, particularly a double die, can increase a coin's value exponentially. These rare pieces are highly sought after by collectors who know that the more obvious the error, the more valuable the coin. Another aspect that greatly affects the value of these pennies is their condition. As with most coins, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny was produced in vast quantities. However, not all of them survived in pristine condition. Over the years, many of these coins have been worn down by constant circulation, losing their luster and detail. But those that have been carefully preserved and remain in excellent condition, especially if they have been kept in mint state, with minimal wear and vibrant details, are what can bring big money at auction. So, what exactly makes the 1950 D. Lincoln wheat penny so valuable today? It's a combination of factors: rarity, historical significance, condition, and the presence of any unique errors. If you come across a 1950 D penny that has a double die, remains in near perfect or mint condition, or has any other identifiable minting flaws, you could be holding onto a treasure worth far more than its face value. But here's the most exciting part. If you are fortunate enough to have a 1950 D. Lincoln wheat penny with one of these rare errors in mint condition, then it could fetch an eye-popping price at auction. In fact, some 1950 D pennies with mint errors and in exceptional condition have been known to sell for an astounding $210,000. Yes, you read that right, $210,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding a coin worth that much. It could completely change your financial situation and put you on the map as a serious collector. But even if you don't have one of these rare, error-filled coins, the 1950 D. Lincoln wheat penny is still a highly collectible and historically significant piece of American currency. It's a reminder of a time when America was rebuilding itself after war, a time of hope and progress. So, if you happen to come across a 1950 D. Lincoln wheat penny in your collection, be sure to check for any unusual marks, mint errors, or the condition of the coin. It might just be worth far more than you think. Next coin, we have something really exciting to talk about, the 1954 D. Lincoln wheat penny. You might think it's just another penny from the 1950s, but trust me, this coin has quite a fascinating story, and it's much more valuable than you might expect. If you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who's starting to explore this amazing world, you'll want to pay close attention. We'll be discussing not only the history of the 1954 D. Lincoln wheat penny, but also how you can determine if you have a valuable one and why some of these coins have sold for jaw-dropping amounts. And yes, you'll be surprised to learn just how much this coin can be worth when it's in excellent condition or carries a rare mint error. But more on that in a moment. First, let's take a look at the year 1954, a year of change and growth in America. The country was in the midst of the post-war boom, and things were looking optimistic. The U.S. Mint was hard at work producing millions of coins to meet the demand for currency. The Lincoln wheat penny was one of the most circulated coins during this time. It had been in circulation since 1909, bearing the image of the beloved 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. The 1954 D. Lincoln wheat penny, minted in Denver, was just one of the millions of pennies that were produced that year. But like many coins, only a fraction of them will hold their value for decades to come. So what makes this particular penny stand out among the rest? It's all about rarity, condition, and sometimes a little bit of luck. Let's start with the design of the coin. On the obverse, front, side, you'll find the famous image of Abraham Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has become an iconic symbol of American history and has adorned the penny since it was first introduced in 1909. Lincoln's likeness is a tribute not just to his leadership, but to the ideals of freedom and unity that he stood for, and this continues to resonate with collectors today. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the two stalks of wheat, which represent the country's agricultural roots. Above them, you'll see the words E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one, a symbol of American unity. It's simple, elegant, and full of meaning. The wheat design was used from 1909 to 1958, at which point it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design, marking the end of the wheat penny era. So, why does the 1954 D. Lincoln wheat penny matter so much today? In terms of mintage, the 1954 D. penny was produced in large quantities. More than 1.1 billion of these coins were struck. Normally, when a coin is produced in such large numbers, it doesn't tend to be worth much unless there's something special about it. But here's the thing, while most of the 1954 D pennies you'll encounter will show wear and tear from years of circulation, there are some that stand out. The first factor that could greatly increase the value of this coin is its condition. Coins that were in circulation for many years usually end up showing signs of wear, like scratches, discoloration, or faded details. But not all coins end up in bad shape. In fact, some 1954 D pennies have been kept in pristine condition and are considered to be in mint state, meaning they have no wear or damage. These coins are rarer and, therefore, much more valuable. The most valuable 1954 D Lincoln wheat pennies are those that have been kept in perfect condition, with sharp details and minimal wear. Even those that have just a little bit of wear and still retain much of their original design are much more valuable than most of the circulated coins. If you happen to come across one of these mint state coins, you might be in for a pleasant surprise. Another factor that can influence the value of the 1954 D penny is the presence of mint errors. Over the years, some coins have been struck with errors, either due to imperfections in the minting process or misalignment during the striking of the coins. These errors are highly prized by collectors because they are unique and can make the coin extremely rare. Errors in coins like the 1954 D penny include things like double die, where the design is stamped more than once, creating a blurry or doubled effect on the lettering or numbers. Another type of error is an off-center strike, where the image is not aligned properly on the coin. These errors can make a coin much more valuable than one with no mistakes. For the 1954 D penny, the presence of double die errors or off-center strikes can significantly increase its value. If you have a 1954 D penny that shows such a flaw, you could be sitting on a small fortune. But remember, the condition of the coin still matters. The cleaner the coin, the more money you're likely to get for it. Now, you might be wondering just how much can a 1954 D Lincoln wheat penny be worth? While most 1954 D pennies might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars. If you have one that's in perfect condition or contains one of these rare mint errors, you could be looking at a much higher price. In fact, some 1954 D Lincoln wheat pennies with rare mint errors have been known to fetch an astonishing $290,000. Yes, $290,000 for a single penny. If you own a 1954 D Lincoln wheat penny and think it might be one of these rare pieces, it's worth taking the time to get it checked by a professional appraiser or coin expert. You never know, you might have a small fortune hiding in your collection. Now, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins from American history, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny. If you thought pennies were just a pocket change, think again. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is a prime example of how seemingly ordinary coins can become rare treasures worth thousands of dollars, or even more, when they're in the right condition or feature a unique minting error. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny so special? After all, it's just a penny, right? Well, as we take a closer look at this piece of history, you'll understand why this coin is so valuable and why collectors around the world are actively seeking it out. Let's first set the stage by taking you back to 1953, a year when the country was still feeling the post-war boom. The economy was flourishing, and daily life was starting to return to normal after the hardships of World War II. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny was produced during a time of prosperity, and like all pennies of its era, it was designed to reflect the values of the nation. This coin, with its timeless design, captures a moment in history when America was rebuilding and moving forward. On the obverse, or front side, you'll find the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, has graced the penny since its introduction in 1909. It's one of the most recognizable images in American coinage, symbolizing leadership, unity, and the nation's enduring spirit. Lincoln's likeness stands as a tribute to his role in preserving the Union during one of the most challenging periods in American history. On the reverse, you'll see the well-known design of two stalks of wheat framing the words E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many one. This reflects the unity of the United States, as well as its agricultural heritage. The wheat motif was first introduced on the penny in 1909, and it remained on the reverse until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. But the wheat design is still beloved by collectors for its simplicity and its connection to the country's roots. Now, let's talk about why the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is more than just a simple piece of currency. For many years, the 1953 penny was simply another coin in circulation. Millions of them were minted, over 1 billion to be exact, making it a common coin during the mid-20th century. But as time has passed, the number of these coins in excellent or uncirculated condition has drastically decreased. Coins that were once used in everyday transactions have been worn down, scratched, and faded over the years, making the surviving ones in pristine condition extremely valuable. One of the things that set the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny apart from many other coins is the rarity of well-preserved examples. You see, while most of these pennies were used and worn, a select few were kept in excellent condition. The value of the 1953 penny greatly depends on its condition. A penny that is still mint state, showing no signs of wear, with all of its intricate details still visible, can fetch an impressive amount on the market. These coins are highly sought after by collectors who are looking to complete their sets with pristine pieces. But that's not all. Some 1953 Lincoln wheat pennies have an added bonus: minting errors. Yes, minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. Over the years, some of these pennies were struck with flaws during the minting process. These errors can vary, but the most notable ones include things like double dies, where the design appears more than once, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. When collectors find a coin with one of these errors, they know they've found a rare gem, because coins with minting mistakes are often much more valuable than those that were produced correctly. So, how much can the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny really be worth? It all depends on the condition of the coin and whether it has any rare minting errors. But let me tell you, if you have one in mint state or with a double die or other error, you could be holding onto something worth a serious amount of money. In fact, some of the most valuable 1953 Lincoln wheat pennies have been known to fetch staggering prices. One particularly rare example, with excellent condition and a notable minting error, sold for an astounding $190,000. Yes, you heard that right, $190,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding a coin that could potentially be worth that much. It's a life-changing discovery for any collector, and it's what makes coin hunting such an exciting hobby. So, if you happen to have a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, be sure to take a closer look at it. Check for any unique features, minting errors, or signs of wear. You might just have a hidden treasure in your possession, and even if you don't have a 1953 penny with an error or in perfect condition, don't fret. The Lincoln wheat penny series is one of the most beloved and historically significant sets in American coinage. Having any 1953 Lincoln wheat penny in your collection is something to be proud of. Last unique coin, we have something truly exciting to discuss: the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. If you thought pennies were just small, everyday coins, then think again. This little piece of American history might just be worth far more than you ever imagined. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone who's just starting to learn about rare and valuable coins, today's video is going to open your eyes to the potential of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. Let's start with some background. The Lincoln wheat penny has been around since 1909, and it was designed by the artist Victor David Brenner. Since its debut, this coin has become a staple of U.S. currency, capturing the image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. On the reverse side, you'll find two stalks of wheat, symbolizing the country's agricultural roots. The coin is simple but powerful in its design, and over the years, it's become a beloved piece of American numismatic history. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is part of a series of pennies that were minted throughout the mid-20th century. By this time, the Lincoln wheat penny had been in circulation for decades, and most people were used to seeing it in their change. But as with many coins, only a small percentage of them were preserved in excellent condition. Most of them were heavily circulated, losing much of their original detail. And that's where the real treasure lies. So why is the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny so special? To understand its value, we need to look at a few key factors that make this particular coin stand out. First, let's talk about rarity. You might think that because the 1957 penny was minted in such large numbers, it wouldn't be very rare. In fact, over 1 billion 1957 pennies were struck. However, the real rarity comes when we consider the condition of the coin. Most of the coins that were produced during that time were spent in daily transactions, meaning they saw a lot of wear and tear. It's incredibly rare to find a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny that is still in mint state, with sharp details and no signs of heavy circulation, and that's exactly what makes these coins so valuable. When a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is in excellent condition, especially when it's uncirculated or has been preserved in a way that keeps it looking as if it just came out of the mint, it can fetch a very high price among collectors. But it's not just about looking good. The 1957 penny can also be valuable if it features any mint errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. Sometimes, coins are struck with mistakes during the minting process. These errors could include doubled dies, where the design is doubled, making it appear blurry, off-center strikes, where the coin's design is misaligned, or even repunched mint marks, where the mint mark was struck more than once, creating a unique look. If your 1957 Lincoln wheat penny has one of these errors, it could be worth significantly more than its face value, but the value doesn't stop there. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny also holds significance because it represents the end of an era. This coin was part of the final few years of the wheat penny series, which was discontinued in 1958 in favor of the Lincoln Memorial design. So, in a way, this coin marks the closing of a chapter in American coinage history. Its place in the broader context of U.S. currency makes it a highly desirable piece for collectors. So, how much is a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny actually worth? Well, the value of the coin depends on several factors. If you have a 1957 penny in mint condition, it could be worth much more than a typical circulated coin. But the real excitement comes when you consider coins with mint errors. Some of these coins, depending on their rarity and condition, have been known to sell for substantial amounts. For example, a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny in mint state, or one that has a rare minting error, could easily fetch a price of around $120,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $120,000. That's the potential value of a single 1957 Lincoln wheat penny if it's in pristine condition or contains a rare error. Imagine that, a penny worth more than a brand new car. So, before you dismiss that handful of loose change in your pocket or jar, take a moment to check for any 1957 Lincoln wheat pennies. If you find one in excellent condition or notice any minting flaws, it could be your lucky day. If you're a new collector, this is a great reminder to always check the coins you come across carefully. You never know what kind of rare treasure could be hiding in plain sight. And even if you don't have a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny lying around, there are countless other coins from various years that could also be worth a lot. Keep learning, keep looking, and who knows? You might just stumble upon your own hidden treasure. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found this information interesting and exciting, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future deep dives into rare and valuable coins. Who knows what we'll uncover next? Keep your eyes peeled, and as always, happy collecting!